We're in step 7 and essential tasks. And this task is about inspecting stucco in EIFS. And here are some tips on inspecting that type of exterior covering. Click the link here and let's check out these tips here.
The first question is the most critical because the answer to it can affect the answers to the other two questions. And the first question was, what kind of stucco do we have on the property? If you walk up to the wall, say, feel it, yes, we've got a stucco system, and continue on with other systems on the house, you're doing your client a disservice because they need to know what kind of stucco this is. There are at least 5 locations you can look at to help confirm your hypothesis of what kind of stucco may be on the wall. One of which is attachments, such as this ledger board. This section of ledger board was surface mounted. It's placed on the surface of the stucco system, and the anchors were tightened so much that has compressed the stucco system, as can be demonstrated by the use of a simple pencil. You can see the surface coming down, and the back of the ledger board is probably 3/4 of an inch into the stucco system. This is a great tool, not very expensive one, but a great tool to demonstrate to your client what you're seeing. If they're not there, this is a great photo opportunity to put in your report. So the system ledger, the ledger has been bolted down onto the system, causing deflection. When you deflect a stucco system, that's a good clue that this may be an EIFS system. Another attachment to look at would be this handrail. The bracket supporting the handrail, if you feel the wall, again, the stucco cladding is concave where the attachments are. Our handy pencil laid on the surface, we find that the exterior face of the bracket is flush with the wall, compressing the stucco cladding probably 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. Again, when the wall system is compressed like this, it's a high indication that we have some sort of EIFS system. We just don't know what type of EIFS system it may be at this point in time. Another key place to look would be at ledgers or bottoms of wall claddings, stucco claddings. At this particular location, we can see there is a PVC starter track with weep holes in it. PVC starter tracks can be in hard coat or EIFS systems. We have clues that may be an EIFS system. This leads me to think that this might possibly be a moisture drainage EIFS system, seeing that we have the weep casing along here. Good clue, again, not conclusive. We look along this end here, we see our flashing going up behind the system, and we take advantage when you're looking. If you see something, even though it's not supposed to be visible, go ahead and see what you can see. It's amazing what you can learn when you look. And here we're finding that there's paper behind the EIFS system, or what we believe is an EIFS system. 2 layers of paper, that's appropriate. It's implying that we now have an EIFS system that is a moisture drainage EIFS system. Bottom of systems are often very beneficial locations to look in that the system is hard or is often not finished to those locations. Something to keep in mind, if it's hard for you to get down and look at the system at the bottom of the wall, it was also hard for the person putting the system on the wall to get down there and finish it. So that's quite often where we'll find some incomplete systems. The bottom of the wall, you can start off putting your hand along here, seeing what you have going. Or another technique, and use a mirror to look up and see what you have. Over in this section, we see a weep casing, a PVC starter track with weep holes or a weep casing. And then over here, we see back wrapping. We find some gaps in the back wrapping, some incomplete mesh, some incomplete back wrapping. When I'm out on the property, I have my own mirror, and I'm able to stand up and be looking at the bottom of the wall without having to get down on my hands and knees. But these are excellent places to look for details and concerns. You know, there's a great little hint that you should pay attention to when you're looking at wall systems. You walk up to the house. One thing you do is tap on the wall. Use your knuckles, but they get kind of raw. I quite often will take my flashlight or a screwdriver and just tap on the wall. It sounds kind of hollow. If it sounds hollow, that's a clue you may have an EIFS system. If you come over to another wall and tap on it, see how that sounds much more solid, firm? That's a hard coat system. So it sounds much more solid on a hard coat system, much more hollow on a EIFS system. So a little clue to help you in terms of identifying the stucco system. Another great non-destructive technique of checking the wall system, what type of cladding system you may have, is to come up and just press on the wall. If it gives to your thumb, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's moving in and out probably 1/8 of an inch or so. That's a pretty good indication you have an EIFS system. If you come up to a hard coat system and do the same thing, you can push all day long, the wall doesn't move, your thumb just gets mashed, then that's a pretty good indication you have a non-EIFS system. It may be a hard coat system, maybe a DEEF system, maybe a PM system, but at least you know it's not an EIFS system. Another key area or location to look would be damaged locations on the property. It may be something where somebody's run into the wall with their car or the truck. It may be a weed whacker hitting the wall, or it may be bird damage. If it's bird damage, you're probably going to need a ladder to get to it because it's going to be up near the top of the wall. But all of these are great locations to look. Quite often, the whole system will be exposed at that location. At this location, we've simulated damage. We can see we have OSB substrate, 2 layers of grade D paper, EPS insulation, a mechanical anchor, fiberglass reinforcing, a very thin base coat, and a finish coat. Looking at this location, I would feel very confident in stating that this property is clad with a moisture drainage EIFS system. So we've had formed hypotheses, we've confirmed them at various locations, attachments, railings or deck ledgers, bottom of system above deck ledger, bottom of walls, termination of the system where you saw some paper, and then at the impact damage or bird damage, we're able to see the entire system. That is a process you need to work through to confirm what kind of wall cladding you have on a property. And one little hint for you is it may not be the same wall cladding on all elevations or all portions of the property. I've run into one house in particular, very small house, had 3 different wall cladding systems on that. All of them appeared to be stucco. Just a little food for thought. The second question that you need to address while doing a proper standards of practice inspection is, what concerns are you observing?
And so the tips video continues with that. I didn't even know myself until I took this online video training course with Ron Huffman, expert and instructor with InterNACHI, that there's a dozen different types of stucco and EIFS coverings. So over a dozen different types. And that mirror is still with me. So I've got the same kind of mirror so I can take a look. You can also stick this in other areas as well, like in difficult to reach areas, in a heating system, maybe a hole for an access to see behind a stud wall or something like that. So these are kind of handy too, extendable tools. And we have a free online video course on how to inspect, report, and identify defects and report that in an inspection report and communicate your observations in an inspection report. And it's all online through InterNACHI's school. So feel free to take a look at that link. We went about halfway through the tips link. It's a tips video. It's a really good video. Finish the tips video and please consider taking the entire course. If you don't want to be certified as a stucco EIFS inspector, just play the videos and that's really good. A few more things. There are stucco identification cards, so you can have a laminated card with you, and you flip it and it helps you through a step-by-step process, like a flow chart, to help you identify the stucco that you are looking at during a home inspection, so you can pull that out of your tool bag if you need to. And then there's also a field guide. It's a much thorough type of training material that helps you learn the specifics of identifying the type of stucco or EIFS. And then there's a huge kit that you can get with all the tools that you need, and that's from Inspector Outlet. So take the time to finish that stucco tips video.